There's a subtle, almost hidden truth about wealth and fulfillment that most people never learn. The most profound way to create abundance is not by copying others, chasing trends, or following someone else's path. It's by becoming fully yourself. Imagine a life where your passions, your quirks, your very essence are not liabilities, but your currency. Carl Jung, decades ago, hinted at this in his understanding of the psyche. When the individual aligns with the authentic self, when they embrace the totality of their being, the world responds. Money, influence, opportunity, all begin to flow toward the person who stands in the integrity of their uniqueness. But few notice. We spend lifetimes conforming, masking our shadows, performing roles, while the true path of prosperity waits quietly within. Today, we will explore 4 ways you can literally make money by being unapologetically yourself, ways that Jung's psychology not only predicted, but illuminates as natural outcomes of embracing your true self. By the end of this journey, you'll understand that wealth is not just a transaction, it's a reflection of living authentically. Carl Jung's work reminds us that the self is layered, complex, and often divided between the conscious and unconscious. Most people earn, create, and interact from their persona, the mask designed to meet expectations, blend in, or perform for approval. Yet Jung insisted that true fulfillment emerges from the individuated self, the integration of conscious awareness with the shadow and the deeper archetypes. When you step into this alignment, you begin to operate in a field of authenticity. You no longer compete with others. You offer something that no one else can because it is uniquely yours. This is where value meets resonance. The market, the world, the people around you respond to the energy of someone fully inhabiting themselves. Money, in this sense, is not just currency. It is the tangible recognition of psychic integrity. What follows are 4 ways to harness this principle. Each is rooted in the understanding that when your outer actions are in harmony with your inner being, prosperity is not a forced goal, but a natural consequence. These are not get-rich-quick tricks, nor are they formulas to manipulate others. They are invitations to align with your deepest essence and let the world reward the authenticity it recognizes. The first path to earning by being yourself begins with the recognition that your story is a currency in itself. Carl Jung taught that each person carries a narrative interwoven with archetypal patterns, symbolic struggles, and the wisdom of the shadow. Your experiences, the triumphs, failures, heartbreaks, and revelations, compose a story no one else can tell. When you embrace your narrative fully, you begin to attract people who resonate with your truth. Think of authors, speakers, and creators who share deeply personal journeys. Their authenticity, the courage to expose vulnerability, becomes a bridge for others seeking guidance, inspiration, or connection. Monetization emerges naturally because the value they provide is not invented, it is lived. Writing, speaking, consulting, creating content, these are all channels through which your story translates into tangible value. But the key is depth. Surface-level tales, polished but hollow, fail to resonate. Jung would remind us that integration of shadow elements, the fears, mistakes, and unseen aspects, lends a story its magnetic power. The world instinctively recognizes authenticity. Consider someone who has navigated addiction, loss, or identity struggles, and then openly shares their path to growth. Audiences do not merely consume, they invest. By embracing the totality of your experience, by turning pain, lessons, and revelations into a medium for others, you create a life where your truth generates wealth. This is not exploitation. It is the alignment of inner reality with outer demand. In essence, your story is a bridge connecting your authentic self to a world that rewards honesty, vulnerability, and the courage to exist unapologetically. Money flows not because you are clever, It flows because your uniqueness is needed. The second way is simpler, yet often overlooked. Your natural abilities, the things you do effortlessly, the skills you were drawn to long before obligation or expectation, can become your livelihood. Jung would frame this as aligning with your archetypal essence, the part of your psyche that carries your innate capacities, interests, and strengths. When we ignore these gifts, we unconsciously enter roles that do not serve us, producing frustration and stagnation. But when you identify what comes naturally, what excites you without effort, and offer it to the world, you tap into a form of energy that is self-reinforcing. Others recognize your authenticity in these moments, even if they cannot articulate why it resonates. The painter whose brush flows without pretense, the coder whose creativity sparks from intuition, the teacher whose empathy radiates effortlessly, these people monetize not by copying trends, but by embodying their natural gifts. The principle is simple. Mastery coupled with authenticity creates value. Yet Jung would remind us that true alignment requires embracing the shadow aspects of these talents as well. The insecurities, doubts, or fears that often sabotage expression. Integration is key. Offering your innate abilities requires courage, but the market rewards courage expressed as competence and authenticity. When you provide what you are naturally meant to give, you do not chase wealth. It seeks you. The key is recognition. Stop devaluing what comes naturally, stop pretending you need to conform, and begin to see your effortless capacities as a form of psychic and practical currency. Money becomes not a goal, but a reflection of alignment between your inner essence and the world's recognition of it. The third avenue is subtler, but no less powerful. The environments you create, both physical and digital, can embody your essence and attract wealth. Jung emphasized the interplay between inner and outer worlds. Your surroundings act as mirrors of your psyche, sending signals about who you are and what you value. When your environment, your workspace, your social media, your professional presentation reflects your authentic self, it magnetizes people, clients, collaborators, and opportunities that resonate with that authenticity. Consider a designer whose home studio embodies their aesthetic, values, and philosophy. Clients are drawn not only to the work, but to the energy it exudes. Or an entrepreneur whose online presence transparently communicates their vision, voice, and ideals. Followers convert into loyal customers because authenticity cannot be faked. The soul trap of conformity is avoided here. When you mold your spaces to fit external expectation rather than inner truth, you create dissonance that repels opportunity. Jung would say that each element, color, tone, layout, message, acts as symbolic communication of your archetypal energy. Align your environment with your essence and the universe will respond. People pay for more than products or services. They pay for resonance, clarity, and trust. By curating spaces that communicate who you truly are, you transform authenticity into an ecosystem that supports financial abundance, creative opportunity, and meaningful collaboration. Your surroundings become extensions of yourself, and money, influence, and growth naturally gravitate towards spaces that reflect integrity and individuality. The final path is one of mentorship, guidance, and leadership. Sharing what you know, not because it's trendy, but because it is uniquely yours. Jung believed that individuation, the process of becoming whole, requires contribution. Your integrated self naturally radiates wisdom that others seek. By guiding others through your experiences, lessons, or insights, you create a reciprocal cycle of value. Consider a coach, consultant, or teacher whose approach is inseparable from their personality, philosophy, and personal journey. Their uniqueness is what attracts trust, respect, and investment. Unlike generic instruction, authentic guidance carries the imprint of your life, offering nuances that cannot be copied. Money, in this framework, is a reflection of the utility of lived truth. This path requires courage, sharing insight without pretense, leading without imitation, and embracing vulnerability in service of others. Jung would highlight that the leader who has confronted their shadow, integrated their persona, and recognized archetypal patterns becomes magnetic because they operate from wholeness. This integrity translates to authority, clarity, and trustworthiness, qualities the world rewards materially. Whether through courses, workshops, digital platforms, or intimate mentorship, your authentic self becomes a conduit for wealth creation, but only because it is real, singular, and embodied. The act of teaching from life experience transforms personal authenticity into a generative force where financial abundance flows as a natural corollary to genuine impact. These 4 pathways are not separate tactics, they are facets of a single principle. Alignment with your true self attracts wealth in ways conventional strategies never can. Begin by reflecting, what story is uniquely yours to tell? Which natural gifts have you neglected? How does your environment signal who you are? Where can your insights guide others? Integration is the key. Journal, meditate, or simply observe patterns in your life that point to authentic alignment. Each small step, sharing a story, offering a talent, curating your space, guiding another, is an act of embodiment. Jung's wisdom reminds us that individuation is a journey, and that prosperity is not a distant goal, but a reflection of living in integrity with your psyche. The money follows the authenticity because the energy of truth is magnetic, recognized at both conscious and unconscious levels. These practices are not manipulative, they are expressions of inner alignment manifested outwardly. The soul, once expressed fully, naturally generates abundance. To embrace these 4 ways is to reclaim the power to live a life where wealth is not a compromise, but a natural byproduct of authenticity. Your story, your talents, your spaces, and your guidance are all reflections of your unique self. Carl Jung predicted this principle: the individuated self, integrated and fully expressed, cannot remain unnoticed or unrewarded. When you step into the alignment of your total being, you no longer chase opportunity. It responds to the resonance you emit. This is not just about money. It is about the profound connection between authenticity and abundance, between the inner world and the outer rewards that naturally flow from living true. This is Echoes of Psyche, where your life, your gifts, and your journey are honored as sacred expressions of the self. Trust the process, embrace your authenticity, and watch as the universe recognizes, values, and rewards the courage of simply being who you were always meant to be.